I come to share good news with you today, and the good news is that I have a new book. My first book, actually. This book is called Threads of Destiny, and I say it is in the hands of the Master Weaver. Why did I write this book? It's because after going through many different kind of things in my life, some very painful, traumatic, and also good things that God has done, I realized that in the journey of life, God is like God working, like the weaver works through a basket or doing something with the threads. And I realized that from down here, we see the mess of our lives, we see the failures, we see the pains, but from above, the Master sees the beauty of what He's making out of us. And through my life, I decided it is good to be able to share my story, because as somebody said, every life is a story if we care enough to listen. And so I wrote this book to just be able to bring hope to somebody who may be feeling hopeless, to bring, restoration where there is desperation, and to tell you that God gives a second chance in life, but you must be willing to take that chance. And so I welcome you to order a copy of this book. It is only 1,000 shillings, and or $10 for those who are outside of the country. You can order through the number on the screen, and we'll be able to get you a copy of this book. God bless you as you read it. Give it to somebody else, and I know they will be helped. Amen.
Welcome once again to Kingdom Business Network, KBN, and we're so much excited that you're watching this program this day. We are coming to you live and direct from Faith Today Television. And in case you're watching us on YouTube, please remember to like, share, subscribe. You really help us in terms of reaching out to many more people. If you feel free to share and also to like, and also engage us on this program. For you, we want you to be knowledgeable and to have information as far as running your business is concerned. And in case you're on how to do it. And today, we want to discuss about how you can structure your informal hustle to have financial structure. So you want how you move to having a business which has financial structures. And to help us unpack that is none other than my friend here, Sir Brian.
Asante.
And you can introduce yourself to. Yes.
Well, thank you. My name is. I'm so happy to be here once again, Daktari, in work as we continue to have conversations on the issues, financial structures, and when we were talking about taxation and all those things. And I even don't have there's no taxation of thing. So today, and today, help you understand. It shall be an amazing time. So fun. She told me, and then so I us.
Okay.
Yes.
Metuma salam.
Yeah.
You didn't watch last week's episode, you can pick it up on YouTube. We talked about filing your returns, and this being June, you really need to have filed your returns. Please, if you haven't filed your returns, watch that program, and also make sure you file your returns.
Yes.
My co-host today is none other than Lewis Ndege. Lewis, you can introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hello, cousins.
Yeah.
Hope you're well. Allow me to welcome you once again to Kingdom Business Network, and also to remind you that the easiest way you can be of support to us is to make sure that you share this particular program, you invite as many of your friends, and that will go a long way towards making us achieve this particular mission of enhancing you as a business person. And today we are glad that we have Ndome Brian as we lay foundations for you as a business person. I know most of us, especially you cousin, you are doing things in what we call a kienyeji way. So today we are unpacking that from hustle, from the informal way to financial structures. Welcome so much, Ndome Brian.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Well, Brian, let's get into the business of the day.
Yes.
You talk about informal hustle.
Yeah.
In the Kenyan context, what is an informal hustle, and why is it so common?
Yeah.
And how can one identify this is informal?
Yeah.
Ama informal means kienyeji. Okay.
So thank you. So the word hustle became so common during the 2022 campaigns. That is when the word hustler became so common, and people began resonating with it. Because kaida, they thought they were in that category of hustlers. And we can define it from different angles. But I would simply say a hustle is a small income generating business. First of all, it's not yet in the category of an SME. It's a hustle, and it's categorized by a lot of energy to see life growing. It's categorized with a lot of energy, day-to-day energy, to ensure that you're bettering your life and increasing your life standards. So basically that is what we would call a hustle. On the other hand, also, a hustle would mean any business without structures, because there are still people who are even earning in millions of money, but it's a sole proprietorship. It's only them who are in that business. They don't have many employees, or even if they have employees, they are not employed through the legal ways and all those. So a hustle, would say, is something that doesn't have structures as per se, and also a small income generating project. That is what I would define as a hustle. Yes.
Why is it so common in Kenya?
Why is it so common in Kenya? One, because it's the biggest population are hustlers, people that are doing their own business. That is number one. Actually, in Kenya, 60% of our economy is supported by SMEs. Kushuka chini, from SMEs going downwards. So most of us resonate with the narrative, because that's where we are. Most of us are earning in small scale. We are not yet large scale earners. So we are able to reason with it, because that's what we do on a day-to-day activity. Yes.
So what are the common mistakes that people do when you're starting businesses?
Yes.
I don't know whether it's with the informal hustles first. What mistakes do they make?
In these people who are beginning hustles, one of the mistakes they do is not registering their business. That's one. That's the bottom line. Many just put up a kiosk, just begin doing business. They don't register. Okay. And it's easy, and that's the way to go. That's number one. Number two is that they don't separate personal money with business money. It begins from inception. Many people will treat business money as their own personal money. Number three is that now they don't have a personal kitty versus an account for the business. So that is stemming, of course, from not separating personal money from business money. So this person now, it goes ahead to, they don't have an account for the business, and they don't also have an account for the personal needs. Now it goes ahead. The other challenge that people make, or the other mistake that people make, is not complying to government requirement for a business, like licenses. Apart from registering a business, there are licenses that you're supposed to have. In case you employ employees, there are the statutory deductions or the rules that govern employees and all that and all that. So in relation to finances and building financial structures, I think those are some of the mistakes that people make when they are beginning a business.
If you look at it from might be another point of view,
Yes.
somebody is starting something which is informal, it's
Yes.
a hustle. He or she is not sure that this will succeed.
Yes.
So at the back of his mind is just wondering, why should I register it?
Yes.
And if I register it then my names now are there with the government.
Yes.
Might be now KRA will come looking for me,
Yes.
or the county
Yes.
for levies and all that.
Yes.
But he wants to start, so he finds that that's the easiest way to start
Yeah.
without because he's not committed to anything.
Yes.
So how can you advise on that?
Well, I'm a trainer in personal and business branding, and in that class we say the mistake that people do is beginning small and thinking small.
Okay.
So in as much as you're beginning small, we advocate you should never think small. That's the biggest mistake, that you're beginning a business, but you don't have a future. You're never seeing it growing. And in as much as Kenya, we are not so well up, I would say the government has provided a healthy environment for businesses. Even KRA, unless you're making profits, you're not supposed to be filing income tax and all those, and we'll come to all those conversations. So you should not fear the government at all. Just the licenses, the normal licenses of a business permit and everything, and then you begin growing. And it has more advantages than any other model of doing it. And actually, a research has shown that most businesses in Kenya die within 10 years from inception. And it's because they lack structures. So not establishing structures can't guarantee that necessarily you are strong. So I would advocate for setting up structures as soon as you begin. Yes.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
So why is it important to transition from a hustle to a structured business?
Yes.
What's the importance?
What is the importance? One of it, I've given it, that once we have structures, we are able to plan. I'm a strong believer of data-driven decision-making, where we are using what you've been able to collect over time to make decisions or to forecast decisions for the next periods or the next coming days. That is number one. So we are able to plan and we are able to make informed decisions. Number two is compliance. We've seen government bodies cross businesses because of non-compliance, stemming from KRA, which is one of them, going even to buildings. People, they are doing rentals, and they at the inception stage they never wanted structures, so they never complied, and then the government comes on them and they have to close all that. So number two is for compliance. It's very important. Number three is for scalability. There is a place you can't go as a business unless you have structures. It's not possible. There's some money you can interact with. There is a gap we can give for you to interact with money without structures, but you can't scale up without structures. There is a limit you can go without structures. Yes.
So at what point do you start thinking about structuring your business? Is it before you start?
Yes.
After you start, or after you start making your first million?
Okay. Oh, thank you. We can argue it differently, but I would say it's the point when you start. When you start
means before you actually even...
Yes, before you actually
trading.
begin trading, that's the best time to set up your structures. That's number one. The next time is as soon as you hear this. Is also a best time to begin that. The third one that most people apply when setting up structures is when you begin getting regular incomes, or when now there are cash flows in the business. Because you realize when we're beginning, maybe it's a lot of your injection into the business and all that. But the first time you begin getting clients and customers, at that point when there are cash flows in the business, is now the optimal time to set up structures for your business.
The beginning of a small business is normally very challenging. And you see a scenario whereby if you start a business today, you are everything. You are the financial, you are the accountant, you are the HR, you are even the delivery man, you are the order taker. Literally, you and the business are synonymous. You can't separate, because it's a one-man show.
Yes.
At that point, what structures can you put?
At that point, there are what we call basic structures. And today, I want us to really narrow down to finance-related structures only. Because it's one of the areas that is troubling most of business people. Every day, we are encountering people asking us, now, I'm somewhere where I'm in a fix. Where do I begin? What do I begin doing? So this is what every person needs to know in terms of setting up structures. Number one, by all means, let us separate your money from the business money.
Okay.
So if you have 100,000 that you want to invest to the business, it's not you to the business, but it's not you directly into transactions, but you getting the money into the business and let the business transact on its own.
How do you separate? Do you start open two accounts?
Oh, yes.
And you put your first amount in that account, or
that's it. That's what we do. So you have your capital. When we were studying basic accounting, we were told there's something called the owner's investment into the business, and we give it a name, capital. And capital is now that amount which you want to invest in the business, and then you're expecting over time it will give you returns. So you're supposed to take that money, 100,000, 50,000, 20,000, and then put it up in an account, a separate account. It might even be cash, because we're not nullifying the using of cash at all, so long as there is record keeping. That is the first system, the first structure. And it's very easy for any business person. That one doesn't require a lot. It just requires intentionality, that from today, I will not be taking 200 from my business to go and buy unga for my family. I'll be balancing all my books, and then I know how much I earn that day, and then I pay myself. So that's number one, separate. Number two is pay yourself. Instead of taking the business money now back to yourself, have a way of paying yourself. I'm earning 200 shillings at the end of the day. How much am I able to pay myself from that? So that I have what we call retained earnings. Retained earnings is I made 200, I have minus the expenses, and I have 100 at the end of the day. Now I take 80 shillings, I leave 20 bob to the business as retained earnings. So
if you pay yourself,
yes,
and it's not a regular, you're not very sure about what you're going to make.
Yes.
Do you then decide, like, say, for example, I'm going to give myself 20,000 every month, and what happens when you cannot raise the 20,000 to pay yourself?
All right, this is it, Daktari. Every business person is always willing to go an extra mile to make sure that their business succeeds. So when your business is still so young, every business person would understand that it's still in the time of investing a lot of money to the business. So we are not yet to the conversation of me paying myself. If I can't still meet my stock, I can't still restock and all that, it's not the right time to pay myself. So even the business owner with the right record keeping, they will know at what point this business now is able to begin paying myself. Yes, especially if there is record keeping. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other one?
The other one, now that we're talking about the structures to establish. So one, we've talked of differentiating your money from the business money. Number two, if you have to take any money from the business, it must be you're paying yourself. That is number two. Number three is record keeping. Record keeping is where every transaction is recorded somewhere, either physically or digitally. And we'll come to all those as we move forward. What we mean by physically is I bought 200,000 worth of stock. I must indicate that. It must be recorded. And you see, it's never hard. It's always hard when it's day after day and you've not done it, and then you have 1 month and you've not recorded it, and then you have so many other things you've sold, you've restocked, and you've not been able to record. Now it becomes very hard at that point. But when it is daily, every business, when it is beginning, it is never hard. So record keeping is where every transaction is recorded. Incomes are recorded, expenses are recorded, and restocking is recorded, and that is surprise and purchases are recorded. On the minimum, everyone should be able to do that. Yes. I think that's where we should begin.
Those three.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The viewer who is watching us, can you prepare questions to Brian? You might be having 1 or 2 questions that you want to ask, and please send them to the numbers which are appearing on your screen. Lewis.
Yes, sir.
What do you take from all this discussion?
I think so far I love the conversation, and stemming from a person who has been a hawker before.
Yes.
I know when Dr. is asking you, you are the person, you are the business, you are the employee, you are the sales person, you are the operations person, you are the manager of your business, and you are everything. And now here we are talking of putting up systems, and to begin with is financial structures.
Yes.
That reminds me of a day when I was in Embu, selling a few of my accessories as a hawker, and that day I had not made any sales. And I was still running away from the city council officers.
Kanjo.
Kanjo was still on my neck. At the same time, I had not taken lunch. So now talk to that person and tell them how they need to have structures. You see that person. That was a day when I had to travel for like a kilometer so that I can get a bus that will be within the money I can afford to get me home. You see. So we are talking of a real hustle. That is the real hustler now. That is the person who, if they don't make sales, in the evening their family will not feed on anything. So there are these basic components that may be needed to help us in structuring our financial systems. Maybe you can talk to that person specifically.
Let me first of all go theoretical. I will use two statements. Number one, I believe it is right believing that produces right living. That statement ministers to me all the time. It is right believing that produces right living. So that hawker doesn't need to get to a point where now they are earning in millions to get this information. They need it even in their struggling season. They need first of all to possess the right mindset. That is number one. Number two statement that we use in finance, we say that we don't earn to pay bills, but we earn to secure our future. That is the second most important statement that I would want every SME or every hustler to understand. That we don't earn to pay bills, but we earn to secure our future. So there will come days when you have not made any sales. There will come days when you've not made any income. Or there will come days when that's what you want to eat. It's from hand to mouth. It's from hand to mouth. But there will also be better days. There will be days when you earn and that one can sustain you even for a week.
You have a surplus.
You have a surplus. At that point now, that is what we want you to begin building on. Otherwise, you live to be a hawker all the days of your life. So we want to possess this mindset even when we are earning 100 shillings, so that we will hate earning 100 shillings. And when we get 200, we will spare the 100 to secure something better than a hawker next year. So one of the things is that we must have an account where we deposit our surplus. When I was at home in my home county, that is in my town, there is a circle that was called Bingwa Circle. That I'm also a member of. It was for majani chai farmers and coffee farmers. This circle used to go around the market, the town market. And they were opening small accounts for mama mboga, for the vitungu sellers, for the smoky sellers and all that. And they were telling them, at the end of the day, when you do your calculations and you realize there is surplus, before you go home, go to that M-Pesa shop and deposit that surplus to your circle account. What they are doing is they are helping you that next year you will still not be selling one crate of smokies, but at least you have enough capital to expand. So it's a conversation of guaranteeing expansion at the end of the day.
And now, so that we can directly now direct that particular hustler into what exactly to do. Stemming from the place of registration to the place of now setting up these structures. Can we walk that particular hustler from now that registration process? What do they need to do to call themselves registered? Number two, which are these tools or methods that will help them at that particular basic level? Because I tend to believe from now that basic level will spring now to whatever other levels that will come as progress comes.
Now we have hustlers in different levels. There are some whom the conversation we will have to engage with them is not a registration conversation.
They are registered already.
They are registered already. All others is not really a necessity. Especially if
it's actually not possible to register.
It's not even possible to register for them. So there are those people who now what we need to be teaching them is ways of saving so that it will help them in scaling up. Okay, and they should also have an understanding of separating their personal money from their business money. Mambo ya kutembeanga na pesa ya biashara kwa mfuko waache. So you find a butcher who has 20,000, ukienda kuomba change na kutolea kwa manuti ya 30,000, all the money stays in his pocket. Na zingine ziko na hapa, zingine ameacha kwa nyumba, and then they can't account for that, and then all of a sudden kuna kashamba kanauzwa mahali, and then they are supposed to pay in installment, and then all the money he takes in there, and then he kills the business just because he has cash at hand. So there is that level.
Yes.
But someone also who is so determined they want to establish a very formal business.
Let's talk to that one.
Let's talk to that person now. Want to establish a very formal business. So when talking about registration, there are two ways to it. There is registering a business, and also there is registering a company. There are two ways. So we had a sole proprietor, we had a partnership, and we also had a company and all those levels.
Limited liability.
And that has a limited liability. So for a business permit, it's very easy to get it on eCitizen.
Yes.
And it's at
A license.
A license now. That is at 1,000 shillings. For company also, it's also possible in eCitizen, and it's 10,000 Kenyan shillings. That's it. And in case you don't know how to do that, go into any cyber, they will help you in establishing your business.
Yes.
That is number one. Number two now is if you have a physical shop, you're supposed now to go for a permit from the city council.
Yes.
I think those are the two main registration process that we're talking about. Getting your business registered on eCitizen, and then getting a permit to operate in your physical shop.
Yes.
So I think that's where we should begin in terms of registering. Now with those ones, you can get a bank account for your business, either a company or even the business name you've registered on eCitizen. You can open a bank account, and then they will give you a pay bill that now you'll be using for your day-to-day transactions. That's where we should begin. Yes.
Now we are also in an economy where we are talking of what we are terming as the digital economy.
Yes.
Where we also have now people who are entrepreneurs, who are business people, but they don't necessarily have a physical location.
Yes.
So do they also need to do the registration processes, or is the registration necessary for compliance purposes with the government, maybe to get the permit or such?
All right. Thank you. So for them that are online,
Yes.
the business registration is mandatory.
Okay.
That one is mandatory. But for the city council, now that you are online, it's not necessarily mandatory.
Yes.
From there, now we'll talk of setting up your business in social medias and all that. So if you are digitally, you are transacting digitally, you don't have to go for the city council. You just have to register the business permit.
Okay.
And with that business permit, we get our bank account and we are ready to go.
Okay.
Now, just listen to this conversation. I'm just wondering,
Yes.
for a small business, for it to scale from that informal structure to a financial one with financial structure,
Yes.
do you need to have, let's say, a tool like a business plan? And if so, at what point does it come, and how does it help a business in scaling?
Yes. A business plan is important. And that one is at strategic management now. What we're limiting ourselves to is in financial planning. But a business plan is very, very important. And that's where the financial plan falls inside. We want to know, in as much as you're selling electronics online today, what is your 1 year plan? And you see, designing a business plan is a skill also. So it's something you need to get expertise in terms of how you set up your business plan. And it's a knowledge that people have, and we have, and we can always help in sharing, in making a business plan. So I think it's very, very important. It's what guarantees scalability. If there is no plan, we are not guaranteed of scaling up. Yes.
So what tools do you need to have at the start, especially for record keeping purposes?
For record keeping purposes.
Yes.
Thank
At the
you.
beginning.
At the beginning. So one, you hear all along I'm insisting on the bank account.
Bank
Because everything else will be stemming from that. Anything financially related must have an account. That's number one. Number two is that on your business you must have a receipt book. That if you have a physical shop, or even if you don't have a physical shop, you need to have a receipt book for yourself. It will help you in monitoring most of your sales. And from there, number three is invoicing. Okay, and we'll come to discuss digital tools for invoicing. You need that. It will be very, very relevant for you moving forward. That is in invoicing. Number four is now a software. of managing, and it can be as easy as an Excel sheet. That's where we want to begin, or rather a rind book. How do we used to call the books that are
Ledgers or
the ledger books? They are still there. So if your business is not still so big, what you need is a ledger book where you will be writing, these are my incomes and these are my expenses. So from there is a basic knowledge of how to prepare an income statement, and it's so basic. It's as basic as taking a ruler and a writing. This is what I will be writing as my incomes. Every time I have an income at the end of the day, from my receipt book, I check, and then I'm writing down so that I calculate my total sales. That's number one. On the other side is I paid city council, I ate lunch today, I've paid myself this, and then we balance and then we see how much. At the end of the month, now we will compile all that and it will help us in decision making. Yes.
We are approaching a time whereby we are going to take a very short break of about 2 minutes. And in case you are still watching us, and I believe you are, don't touch that dial.
Yeah.
And this is the time for you to send the questions to us. And the second part of this program, we are going to take your questions. At this point, also remember to like, share, subscribe. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe, because that will help us to reach many more people. And also consider supporting this show and consider supporting Faith Today Television. This will go a long way in keeping us on air. See you after 2 minutes.
Faith Today TV is here to make your brand outstanding. Worry not on where to advertise your business or your product. Call us on 0114 777 000 or email us on info@faithtodaytv.co.ke.
Hello there, my name is Enoch. Taking care of your health should be a top priority. Looking at the various engagements that we have today, it is so easy to forget about our health, mental well-being. That is why we introduce to you the Healthy You Talk Show, a brand new show that is going to address matters concerning your health, nutrition, stress management, mental health, name it. We bring to you a wide range of experts who are going to be touching pertinent issues concerning our health. Tune in every Tuesday at 10 a.m. live on Faith Today TV.
Thank you once again for staying with us this far. We are getting into the second part of the Kingdom Business Network program today. And we are talking about how you can move your informal hustle into one which has got financial structures. And to help us back that has been Brian. And I strongly encourage you to send your questions now, because we are going to start answering your questions. Just before the break, we were talking about income.
Yes.
A lot of people do not differentiate profit, income, and all that. So every money that comes in, ni pesa ameuza, you know. So can we start with that so that we can also understand?
Yes.
How can you help someone to understand what is it? I mean, how do you calculate your profits in an informal way?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So income is anything we receive.
That's income.
That's income.
Gross.
Anything we receive, including anything from sales, anything from your input into the business. Capital, now when you're talking about the income statement, capital is part of the income. So is anything we're receiving, is any injection to the business, that one becomes an income. Okay? So income, we've said, can stem from sales, can stem from, what else now? I'm saying capital, but on a normal business, that's what forms income, sales and capital.
Yeah.
Now that's one. Expense on the other side is anything that we have paid. Anything that we have paid becomes our expense. Only on the running of the business. So an example of expenses would mean any transport, rent, taxes paid, salaries paid, all those forms expenses. Expenses is what is your expenditure? What have you used from your income? So when we're talking about income and expenditure, income is what we receive. Expenditure is anything that is minusing the income. That is what we call expenditure. Now profit becomes income minus expenses. That is what we calculate as profit. But now when we are calculating profit, we take away capital because capital was your money. So you want to understand the sales minus expenses, or the income we've received from what we call revenue, what we've gained from our day-to-day activities in terms of our business, that becomes our revenue. Then we minus all of our expenses. All right? So income and revenue, what is the difference? So we said income is inclusive of capital. Is also inclusive of loan. All that is in income. But now revenue is what we have accrued directly from our business activities. That becomes our revenue. And that is what we use when calculating our profit. We want to take revenues minus expenses, and basically we get our profits. Yes.
In coaching small businesses, do you see a situation whereby a lot or a number of businesses collapse simply because they didn't capture their expenses correctly? Because there's a case whereby you find some business, they're just selling, but they're not capturing the expenses. They like downplay the expenses, but they'll still end up paying those expenses.
Yes.
For example, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Might be you're selling cups.
Yes.
And you have been asked to go and deliver in Isili from might be Kibera to Isili. And you forget that there is transport cost and all those.
Yes.
So for you, you look at, you've sold 10 cups, so you deliver.
Yes.
The other hidden cost or even other costs which might be so obvious, you don't capture them. What's your advice to capturing costs?
My advice is this.
Yeah.
Every cent used in business should be accounted for. Every cent, including transaction costs.
The M-Pesa charges.
The M-Pesa charges is a
bank
form of
charges.
expense.
Yes.
So every cent should be accounted for. Now, with that understanding, it will mean everything we have used, we must find where it should fall. So when we're doing balancing of books of account, we must we must ensure every cent falls in one of the accounts. Is it in expense account? Is it in salaries account? Is it in transaction cost account? But every cent must fall in somewhere. So that's one, and you've brought it very well, especially the transport one is easily ignored, or lunch, or your friend came in the business and then you bought them lunch and then you never included it and it doesn't appear anywhere, but you used business money. Your auntie's daughter came and then you gave them a tip of 500 or 300 and you don't account for that, and it's part of business money. It was not your personal money. So every cent in the business must be accounted for. Yeah.
Lewis, what is your question on this?
I love that part of accountability first, especially because that is what yields to most of the downfall for businesses.
Yes.
But sometimes it's very hectic to account, because you need me to record when I buy my friend some lunch somewhere. Where am I going to record that? So maybe you can give us an insight of simple or free resources that we can use to help us in such accountability. And number two, you mentioned loans as part of revenue.
Yes.
As part of capital.
Income.
As part of income. At what point do a business person get to know that they are now liable? How do they prepare financially to be liable for loans?
Thank you. You remember the first time when I made the first statement, I insisted on a bank account. Being loanable is not easy. And I've met people out here who are saying, I don't know, the car that person is driving has bought it with a loan. And then I always ask, why have you not bought yours with a loan? Because being loanable is also not easy. If you can get a loan of 2 million to buy a car and you are not a civil servant, it means you are loanable. The bank, if the bank can trust you with that money, you are somewhere. So being loanable is something you cultivate, is a runner you climb to. So once you get a bank account, actually, a bank looks for cash flows more than strategies. They don't listen to hii biashara yangu naiona ikiwa mbali sana in the next 2 years. They don't look for that. They want to understand how are your cash flows. And they don't want your M-Pesa statement, although nowadays they are checking on M-Pesa statements, but they don't really consider your M-Pesa statement. They want to know in your business account, how has been cash flows in and out, in and out, in and out. So every business person who wants to scale up in future must have a bank account, and they must ensure all their monies goes through that bank account for them to be runnable over time. So every bank have the guidelines they give before you become runnable.
Okay.
So once you open a bank account, you need now to be in touch with the customer relationship manager of every bank. So now they guide you. Maybe we give a loan after 6 months, we give a loan after 1 year, and then they are telling you account is not yet mature, continue depositing, continue using it until you are able to secure a loan. But having a bank account where all your business money goes through is the first step towards scaling in terms of accessing loan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We now get to the questions from our viewers. And viewers, thank you very much for sending these questions. We are here because of you. And Brian, the first question comes from Hosea. He's saying, good morning, KBN. Is it true that registering a business makes you pay more taxes?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. Not at all. The taxes we pay are not on our registration. They are on our income. They are on what we are earning. All taxes are a percentage of our income or a percentage of our sales. And sales is part of income. So most of our taxes are a percentage of income. Is it payee? Is a percentage of income. Is it annual tax? It's a percentage of income. Is it income tax at the end of the year? The annual corporate tax is a percentage of income. So there is no way we can justify that registering a business makes you pay more to KRA. Not at all.
Ella is asking, how do you know when it's time to move from a hustle to a structured business? Is there a sign to look for?
Yes. Or is there a sign to look for? Yes, there is a sign to look for. And I said, I said of 3 things when we are discussing when to begin building structures. One is as soon as you begin, because we said you should, in as much as you're beginning small, you are not small. So you need to begin setting up structures at that point. Number 2 is as soon as you hear this, the kind of information
this is a sign already.
This is a sign already that you need to set up your structures in your business. And number 3 is now when there are cash flows. So long as you have clients, you have people that pay, and you have expenses that you also pay. At that point, you need structures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sharon in Roysambu is asking, does having financial structures mean hiring accountants and lawyers?
No. It doesn't mean so.
What does it mean? Let me ask on behalf of Sharon.
You see now, when people hear the word financial structures, they think what we're talking about is complex accounting structures.
Okay.
And that's not in essence what we're talking about. We're talking about things you can do even as a business owner. See, when you're beginning as a business owner, you are the HR, you are the salesperson. It's like asking, when we're talking about sales structures, and someone is asking whether, are you saying I'm the one who will be selling? That's the question you'll be asking. Are you saying I'm the one who will be looking for customers? And in real sense, you are the one who looks for the customers day in, day out. So for the financial structures, we're talking of the most basic things that guarantee scalability. If you can afford to record your income and your expenses, at the end of the year, even if you don't know how to file returns, anyone can do that simply, so long as you've been able to do good record keeping. So we're talking of the most basic, opening a bank account, record keeping, having receipts, having invoices. Those are basic, and every business owner can do.
I like the way you put it. To Sharon, basic first. So basics, basically, those are things that, like a record book. You just go to the supermarket and buy a receipt book. Same, have all those as your basic, the minimum. But now, let's advance this question. What are the sophisticated ones after you have done with the basics and your business has reached a certain level? What would be like the second level of structures?
The second level of structures will involve now the accounting itself. And that will involve things like now a software for managing. Once you begin handling 500 clients, you can no longer account for them in a book. So it calls for a software to help you in doing that. Once you have thousands of money in your bank, we begin doing what we call bank reconciliations. For you now to begin, for you to match what you are earning or what you have in your books versus what is in the bank. We begin doing bank reconciliations. From there, we want to do things like statements of financial possession. We want to know what is the total assets that you own. That's it. Number 3, we want to begin auto-generating financial statements from your software. And how will this help us? One, there is a level where a business gets, and it calls for strategic thinking. You can make your first 1 million, but from there, it will require strategic thinking for you to begin making other millions of money from there. That's why you realize there are people that are stuck. There are businesses that their turnover has been 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, and they can't really explain what that means. So there is a level you get, and we have to strategically think on how we move forward. Now, at that point, financial statements become very important in scaling up from that level. So the higher level is now helping you manage what you cannot manage manually. That is the next level I will talk about, and auto-generating of financial statements.
And I believe at that second level,
Yes.
or secondary level, you don't even have to have a full-time accountant.
No, you can outsource.
You can outsource. You can
Yes.
get somebody who just comes in and does your books
Yes.
on a informal, how do you put it?
No, on a consultancy basis.
Consultant basis.
Yes.
Okay, and I think on this, there's I want to just share on an experience. I had a friend of mine. He was running a hardware shop, and it was so popular and people liked it. But the strangest thing is that one day I sat down with him and he told me that at a point he was about to close his hardware shop, simply because he used to lose a lot of materials or stock. And this, irrespective of the fact that he was always at his shop, people could even steal when he's still there and they're laughing with him. So they asked for 10 mabatis, but it's loaded 15. So by the time he does stock take, he's lost a lot of stock.
Yes.
Until the day he now went to the secondary level that we're talking about. And he actually got a software for managing stock.
Yes.
And then he made people responsible for sections. If you're in charge of Chuma, you are the one to account for it. You need to account of the stock. And if you lose one, you are the one to pay. How does that work?
This is what happens, and that's what we're talking about at secondary level. It gets to a point where now your business has scaled up. You've even afforded loans in terms of 2 million, 5 million and all that. And now you have a big, let's use the case of a hardware. Now you have 1,000 missionaries, 20,000 missionaries, and then you are supposed to account for each one of
And
them.
they're coming in and out.
And they are coming in and out,
Yeah.
coming in and out, coming in and out. That's where now we begin getting departments like procurement. We need to get departments like supply chain management. So that they must not be department, but we bestow responsibility on an individual. That when we're talking about these products, you are the one who is responsible. And every morning, you are supposed to account for how much we had yesterday. Kama kuna zenye zimeingia leo, you're supposed to account for them also. And at the end of the day, there is balancing. Like what happens in a supermarket. After all doors are closed, the cashiers are left inside. And now we have to account for how much we have versus the stock that was there in the morning, and then we have to do the difference in case there is a gap. The cashier must account for that.
Yes.
The same case happens to bank. Once they close, they must balance their books of account, and we have to account for all the monies that were there versus the money that has gone out and the money that has come in. So that is the second level, and that requires expertise. We can run away from expertise at that level. You need accountants at that level.
And if you don't do that, you go down.
You go down, and people will bring you down. If
Yes.
you don't go down, people will bring you down.
The cousins.
Yeah, the cousins. The cousins will bring you down.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, is it possible to get a loan for a business that has not officially been registered yet?
Well, it becomes hard. It becomes hard. One, because the bank also want to look at security from their end. Can we sue this person in case they don't pay? So it becomes very hard for you to access loan if you've not been registered from banks. However, SACCOs, it's possible.
Will they give you as a business loan or
No,
as
they will
just
give you
individual?
as an individual loan. Now
Okay.
that will not be business, but if it has to be business,
Must be
it
registered.
must be registered. Yes, and there is the amount they can't give you so long as you're not registered, so it still has a limit to it. Yeah.
Fidelis, thank you for writing to us. He's asking, I want to start tracking my expenses, but I don't know where to begin. Can you recommend any simple methods or tools? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we would also want to understand the kind of business they are in. so that we are able to do that, but as easy as an Excel sheet.
Microsoft Excel.
Excel sheet. You see, Excel has functions that are able to calculate. So you can say we have, if they are selling electronics, we have 10 TVs. So if there is a minusing of 1 and you minus 1, it auto calculates. And at the end of the day, you are able to see, I was able to sell 10 and they have been able to be calculated in my Excel sheet. So that is one. And we have many other even that are very cheap, even POS, as simple as 500 a month. There are very many people that are making all these things. So they just have to reach out to us and then we will be able to recommend a good one depending on their business.
So Fidelis take the number at the end of the program. He'll share his number. Brian will share his number.
Yeah.
Kevin from Muroiro, he's watching us from Muroiro. Hi, what are the risks of staying informal for too long? Could it hurt my business in the long run?
It will definitely. It will definitely hurt your business, and I will explain why. Number one, there is no room for scalability. It gets to a point where the investor's money is no longer enough to scale up the business, and you require the hand of a financial institution. So you can never scale up if you are informal. That is number one. Number two, decision making will be hard. Number three, you will be caught up by inflation within no time. For instance, let's say there is a recession in the economy and people are no longer buying. You used to have 100 clients a day. And then all of a sudden they are 80. But because you don't have records or structures, you're not able to tell there is a reduction in terms of the clients I was handling. So you're not able to prepare. On the other side, your competitors have realized it, and maybe they are lowering their prices, they are offering discounts, they are offering after-sales services. So you end up being thrown out of business if you don't have structure. So decision-making becomes hard, and you are unable to prepare for tough economic seasons. And they will definitely come. At one point in business, there will be tough economic times. Yes.
Okay. Someone, Esther here, is asking, hello, good morning. This is Esther. I've been selling online for a while.
Yes.
But I haven't registered my business. Is it okay to stay informal while scaling?
It's not advisable because part of scaling is becoming formal. So the scaling he's talking about is increasing his sales, But it's easier now. Actually, what we're calling formalizing is not something so bulky. Not at all. You see, that's where people are getting it wrong. We're not talking of so many, bulky systems and all that. There is a place where she will get or he will get. And then beginning at that point will be very hard. And there is nothing as tricky as introducing a system when the business is so big. You can't test it. You can't validate how it's working. In case it makes an error, it costs you 100-fold. So the best time is grow with the systems so that there will be no point where there will be a huge gap in your business. So I would advise as early as now, or rather as late as now, they should get systems.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lillian is asking, thank you, Lillian, for writing to us. Does having financial structures help in accessing grants or investor funding, and how?
Oh, nice. I think that's an interesting conversation in fundraising and grant proposals and grant funding.
And getting other investors.
Angel
investors, all that.
Venture capitalists, angel investors, and all that. Every time you want to go for those people, you must have clean financial statements. There is no way to it. You must have clean financial statements. And that's what they are looking for. And you see the investors, so they have a lot of money. They have been funding others. So they want to look for something that will convince them in your financial statements. That's viable. So they want to check on how well and how structured you are. Actually, these people, they don't fund anyone who doesn't have structures. Because there is no business that is able to scale up or that is able to convince them they are in business if they don't have structures. So I would say if you have such a mindset, and it's a mindset very few are having, and yet it's very important in nowadays, I would advise you go for structures as soon as now. Yeah.
So how do you get these investors, and how do you get grants?
How do you get grants? My director here is a teacher of grant proposals.
Tell us, there might be that will help Lillian just to mention.
Or how to get grants.
Or investors.
And investors. The number one thing they look for is the motive. So you must be very articulate in terms of expressing what we call your story, the brand story. That is what first convinces them. So number two, once they have been attracted to you, they'll come now to your systems. The number one system that their eye lands on is the financial structures. Number two is what we call the operational structures. And basically all that falls from the business plan. So as part of being a professional grant writer, you must be a professional business planner. And now the business plan encompasses all these systems, from operational to budgeting to finance to everything else.
Yes.
So to Lillian, if she wants to pursue that particular line of fundraising and attracting funders and sponsors and investors, you must put everything very straight. Number two, you must learn the art of telling your story. As simple as that. Attracting them will be very easy.
Okay. Are these funders and people who give grants, are they available online?
Actually, we usually say money is attracted by value. And in fundraising, there is a concept we follow, that money goes to the prepared and the compliant. So
To the prepared and
to the prepared and the compliant. So if Lillian wants to excel in that area, people with money have many. Like the other day, this guy, what do we call him? Warren Buffett. He's saying that he wants to give out 90% of his wealth. Who are the people who are going to receive that money? Those are investors, people with an impact-driven mission or vision. So those people who have strategically positioned themselves in terms of preparedness, that is where now the financial structures, operational structures, and every other thing that is needed for a thriving system must come to place. And now number two is the part of compliance. How is your relationship with the government? That is very important. So those people are there, and they are many, actually even in our nation and globally. We access them online and even physically.
Yes.
Yes.
One more question. Chris from Gara is asking, I've heard about digital bookkeeping apps.
Yes.
But what are they? But are they worth it for someone who is just starting out?
What are they starting? You see, there is that question, because there are startups that are big enough that we can use physical bookkeeping. So we also want to understand what kind of startup is it. But if it's something that is below maybe 100,000 or so, I mean, a physical bookkeeping would be enough. But if it's something beyond there, I would advise go for a digital bookkeeping. Yes.
Which are these ones? Are do they have names? How can you get them?
They have names. We have others, though big, they accommodate small businesses. And others are Kenyan. And I've said, like POSs, I mean, I have around 15 companies.
Okay. Like, is QuickBook one of them?
QuickBook now is on the upper hand.
Is the upper hand?
Is the upper hand, though it can help, but not really as small as per se. Anyone that has at least good sales who could do, QuickBook will help you a big time. Sage is there.
Sage, yes.
Odoo are having it. Zoho are having it. Sage, they are having it. Tari are having it. So there are so many in the market.
Okay.
So we just have to get them. We just have to get them and understand your business, because others are so good for farms that are doing manufacturing, others for VAT compliant, others for just point of sale and all that. So it depends with your business.
Okay, they'll get in touch with you on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jane Nyambura, for watching us on YouTube. I can see your comment here. You're saying this is a powerful topic, and I believe that many of the people who've been listening to us concur on the same. The discussion has been quite wonderful.
True.
Lewis,
Yes, sir.
One more question before we start winding up.
Before we start winding up, I'm always an advocate of those people who are beginning, because I usually believe in small beginnings as well. And I believe that the conversation we've just had has been very insightful, and there are so many takeaways for especially those people who are in their preliminary levels. But there is a concern about loan that we left behind. When we were talking of what banks or financial institutions check when they want to give you a loan or to assess your loan ability. But there is the other side of it. You as the entrepreneur, you as the business person, at what point do you get and realize, now I can't thrive, I can't take the next step without accessing some of these financial solutions?
Yes. So you're asking, as an entrepreneur, at what point do I say now I need a loan?
Yes.
Yeah. So number one is when we have cash flows. And I say liquidity is one of the most important thing in a business. So when there is liquidity, because a loan will require installments. So when now you have steady cash flows, that such that if a bank tells you we'll give you a loan of 1 million, and every month you're supposed to be paying 55,000, you know that I have cash flow enough to pay 55,000 a month, and also it will not affect the running of my business. Because we've seen instances where someone takes a loan and their cash flow are just enough to pay the loan. So it becomes a challenge when they are paying the loan. So number one is your cash flows. Do you have steady cash flows? Do you have a steady customer? Steady customer entrance into your business. That becomes number one. Number two is when you want now to advance. Is when you want to advance, maybe open another shop, or you want to increase your stock. And the best time to take a loan is when your business is healthy. Don't wait until the point when you're feeling like crossing. That is when now you want to take a loan. At that point, it's still very risky. So when the business is healthy, now you realize the shop is small and you want to grow the shop. At that point, now you can take a loan because it will guarantee growth. So when we're taking a loan, we want to see a steady growth pattern. And the steady growth pattern is shown by your financial statements, of course. We begin by 10 clients, we begin by 20 clients, we begin by 50 clients, 70 clients. And now we have 200 clients and we can't serve them. You see, at that point now, I want more money to restock. So now I'm able to cater for my market. So there is a standard of the market, there is your cash flows, and now when we can guarantee standard growth in your business.
Thank you very much, Brian, for this wonderful, insightful discussion on moving the informal hustle to have financial structures.
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
what's your parting shot to the viewer?
I think to our viewers, this information couldn't have come at a better time, because currently we are talking of tough economic seasons, and tough times call for tough people. And I believe in part of preparedness, laying firm foundations. We usually say structuring for longevity. So if you are in a business and you want to think in a long-term basis, the best time to begin is now. Put up your structures. Let us meet during the next conversation as we keep on advancing this conversation on Kingdom Agenda, Kingdom Business Agenda. And I still remind you that the easiest way for you to support us and to help us continue bringing this good information to you is just by sharing this particular program, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and continue being part of this community. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lewis.
Yes,
Brian, what's your parting shot? And also you can give your contacts and you can talk about the college to the viewer who is interested in getting in touch.
Thank you so much, Daktari. Separate that personal money from your business money. Go open that business account today. And then ensure all your monies are passing through that bank account. We are in need of that bank account for the purposes of scalability. So in as much as you're receiving cash, there is even a policy in most of the businesses that when we receive cash, we bank it immediately, because we want to use that bank account for scalability. Moving forward, separate those monies. Go buy that cash receipt, go buy that ledger book from today, ensure every cent in your business is accounted for moving forward. Begin as easy as a ledger book and then translate to something like an Excel. And in case you find any challenge around there, you can always contact us. This is also my parting shot. All this information is available online. You can go to YouTube, you can search anything that you want. You can go to you can go to Google, you can search and you might get some resources helpful for you. So I'm advocating for a culture of continuous learning to every business owner. You can't afford to just be selling. There is more to that. Building structures will call for you to do self-development, to do personal development, to grow yourself and ensure you are compliant. Kindly be compliant. Pay that income tax, register for NSSF, register for SHIF, register for housing levy. Don't be in log hands with the government. Ensure you are on the safe side. We've seen that money goes to the prepared and also to the compliant. And we are so happy to have been here. Thank you so much, Daktari. And in case any one of you wants to reach out to us, we are very open. My number is 07684097742. I'll repeat, 07684097742. 409-742. Thank you so much. We can't wait to keep in touch. Asante sana daktari.
Thank you very much, my guest and my co-host. And thank you very much, Via, for without you, this could not have been a success. Keep on tuned to Faith Today Television, also the Facebook and YouTube. Until next time, God bless you.